gestures and you pick up a lot of different ways. But anyway, I'm mostly through everything. Uh, so I'm mostly through everything. Yeah, basically I've gone through. The only basically other thing I could do at this point is basically just beat the game and then go through all the levels again extensively. Even then, I've done that with some levels, or some parts of some levels, but not everything. Because I didn't. The one thing I know. Yeah, I guess there's a few things. It's hard to keep. There's so many different moving parts. Like, there's not a like astronomical amount of NPCs and characters, but there's so many, like, one's coming in, one's coming out, you gotta do this to trigger this, and there's just so many. There's like certain NPCs can have like multiple things you have to do to trigger them. Like, I still don't know what triggers the oh, what's that character called? The one that drops the claws. Do I have the claws on this? No, I don't. Oh, yeah, I do. No, that's not the right one. Oh, what's that called again? Oh, I might have the armor. What is that? Oh yeah, I still gotta try out the birds too to see what they'll drop. Oh man, why do I keep forgetting the name of that? The character that invades you in the Farron Keep and in Irithyll, and you can summon in Irithyll. Actually, yeah, I guess you can summon in both those places. The has magic. Oh man, I think she's the she is what's her name? The one that's by Yoel. Oh man, what is her name? Yeah, the one that sells you the his stuff after he dies. Something tells me that that's the one person that's invading you, but I still don't know what triggers her invading at Farron Keep. It seems to be from what I can tell, it's hard to remember. Like, there's so much stuff going. You're playing this like hours and hours and hours long game, and you're trying to keep track of every little thing you did one way or another way in one playthrough another. It's hard to remember. It's not like you're playing like an hour-long game and you can just replay it over and over and over again. It's hard to remember all the decisions. I mean, I don't even remember everything that great sometimes as it is, but then you're trying to remember all these different things in this hour-long, or hours and hours long game, dozens of hours long game. So it's hard to try to figure this stuff out, but I sure enjoy it when I figure it out, though. But it's kind of like a mystery to me. But yeah, the Farron Keep. Okay, and she's the one. Yeah. What is her name again? Yarla. Yuria. And she. After you go get the hollow mark thing. I don't have it on this character. She shows up. And I think she's the same one that invades you, or I'm guessing she is. Just because it seems like when you're on her good side, she's able to be summoned. So I think that So as far as I can tell, I think that has something to do with why she invades, is you have to be... She likes you when you're hollow. And, or have the black hole hollow mark thing on you. But yeah, she likes she likes you when you're hollow. So I think it's either not being hollow or be hollow and then get cured from it. It's something to do with one of those things, I think. That's my guess at this point that makes that character invade you. But anyway, yes, that's for that. And then, well, yeah, I guess the other thing too is that Yuria, she also sells the forbidden tomes, and apparently that's another thing I figured out. When you give, as far as I can tell, when you give those forbidden tomes, there's two that I've found so far: the deep and the what is the one? The one is the one you get here, that's from the Mimic, and the other one is, I think, the one you get from Wolner. And if you give them to, as far as I can piece together, I think when you give them to the nun, if you give them to the nun, actually I noticed this on a playthrough I was watching. I've only watched one playthrough so far. Well, I've watched a little bit of the start of some, but I've only watched one significant one, because I'm sort of monitoring, making sure they don't... At this point, I find it somewhat hard to believe that someone will do something that I haven't done, but I guess they did in a sense, because I did notice they gave her the... at this point, I've tried so many things. I'm definitely ready for learning things on my own, watching other people's playthrough. I just, because the person who I was watching it didn't mean anything to them. It was just something I picked up on their playthrough. And, so anyway, I noticed they gave the, basically something I would have noticed anyway on my playthrough if I had just done another playthrough. Basically, if I'll watch something just to see, if it's something I would have done that is the way I do it, as long as I'm not getting, it's just reached the point now I could play this game for 10,000 hours and not figure, I've just got to the point where I've tried almost all my ideas for most of it. Other than ideas that I'd have to go through the entire game or huge chunk of the game to go through. It's just too much. I just don't have that kind of time. But, so anyway, to me it feels like an honest discovery. Like I'm not trying to look for other people to tell me things. I'm just trying to figure out based on other options that are possible in the game. It's like, oh, what if I tried this option to play through? Now, I perfectly could do that, and it would figure out what would happen in that case, but it just saves me a bunch of time watching somebody else do it, or watching the part where somebody else did it. But whatever the case, that's not even the point. The point is that I saw someone give them... Well, what I had done is I gave the... I'm not even sure what... I thought I had done this already, but whatever the case, I gave the nun the dark or forbidden tomes and bought the spells that they have in them, that she'll sell you to them after you give her the tome. And she went mad, sorta, and became upset. And then what's his name? The guy protecting her, he got mad at me, and then he was out. I happened to find him out by Lundex Gunder, or whatever his name is, by where, just after you fight him, he was sitting out there. I can't remember if she was or not, but he was sitting out there and he fought me. I'm just like, what the heck? I didn't even do anything, or I didn't think I did, but apparently I realized it was... I think it's from giving her those dark tomes, or forbidden tomes, and buying things. Because I saw someone give her those tomes and not buy them. And she was still acting normal. So I think that's what happened. But the one thing is, you can get Carla later in the game, this sort of dark magic person, trainer, and I think, I'm still in the process of figuring out, but I think you can give her the dark stuff, and that there's no negative reaction to that. Although I don't even know necessarily if you'd call that a negative reaction with the nun or not. That's because I don't know what all the implications are for sure. But the one thing is, it's kind of crap, to be honest, because Faith is already basically a total joke. Faith is just, it's so annoying. It's not all Dark Souls 3, but it's kind of annoying because, one, you hardly get any offensive spells with Faith, especially early in the game. Like, going into Faith, like if you want to build a Faith character from the start, it's like almost completely useless off the start, other than, like, for offense, there's almost nothing. You get Lightning Spear. I can't remember. Wrath of the Gods is later. That's later. Later. Yeah, you get Lightning Spear in Farron Keep, and that's like the earliest thing you get. You get like hardly anything. I don't think any of the spells the nun sells you early are offensive either. You get... And Lightning Spear, I haven't played around with it a tremendous amount, but from what I have, it doesn't seem very good anyway. So Faith is almost completely... You do get some heal, or you can... you get Denial, which is... I haven't used that a lot, but that would seem to be maybe the best spell there is. Other than the heals, maybe. But... So basically, and then you can cure your poison and stuff like that. But I mean, that stuff is limited. Seek Guidance is like totally useless. Homeward's totally useless. You get enough Homeward bones just on a playthrough, unless you're going crazy using them. So Faith is basically heals and Denial are the general only useful things. And then... but the heals are somewhat are worse because you have to sacrifice your Estus, your healing Estus, for MP Estus to have magic to use the heals. So there's another kick in the face for Faith. Although, well, that's a kick for all over magic, but in this case, Faith. And then... yeah, so you basically get, like, there's so little benefit to Faith. I don't even know, maybe Denial, I guess? But, it just seems to have such a minimal, like, sort of dual spec